All right, let's get started. I sound like a professor. Let's get started on our lesson for today. Class, as I be annoying and take my time. So I watched this murder investigation video the other day. And it started to just make some weird correlations, not with me in that sense, but the symptoms that happened around this whole investigation. So what had happened was this couple, they lived in like this tiny little shack out in the middle of nowhere. And apparently they were using, wood and coals to heat the house, but from their drug addiction, mostly from what I understand, meth, forgot to like open a window at night. And tragically, the carbon monoxide built up to the point that their daughter passed, which is a sad part. But the part that I'm going to focus on, sadly, is the symptoms that the parents were having when the police showed up. Was like hallucinations, inability to move, and a lot of weird stuff. A lot of just weird stuff. And the mom of this little girl was completely convinced, like, to the detectives as they're like sussing the situation out, like, I want a toxicology report. There's something wrong. There's no way that like something happened to me that I can't explain. I can't explain it. And, coming from a meth head, if they say there's something that they can't explain, you probably, take that pretty seriously. Like, but she was just absolutely certain she wanted a toxicology report. Before she even knew the daughter was dead. But that's pretty much irrelevant. So this lady, she's just like, there's something wrong. I've done all this stuff in my life. I've never had anything like this. Like, I could barely move. I couldn't walk. Like, I had a headache and couldn't think straight. Blah, blah, blah. And fuck me if that's not exactly what I thought when I first got COVID. I've told this story before. I was utterly convinced that I had carbon monoxide poison. Convinced of it. Because I was like, this is not normal. I've never had anything like this in my life. This is not normal. To the point where I called CSI, my local CSI, to ask them to do a toxicology and hair follicle test on me to see if I had been poisoned. Because this lady, she thought she had been poisoned too. She was like, somebody must have poisoned us at the birthday party. There's no way. This is not normal. Like, something's off. I think I got poisoned. Well, she had been by carbon monoxide, but I was literally in that exact same boat with COVID when I first caught it. To the extent that I was calling CSI. Now, here's where, everything kind of came full circle in my mind. So when I called CSI and was asking about it, I was like, look, I swear on God I'm being poisoned. That I think there might be a crime here. And that's how convinced I was. Like, something was that wrong with me. they told me they couldn't do any of that unless a crime had actually been committed or there was a pursuit of a crime. Well, the only reason they found out about the carbon monoxide, not dioxide, the only reason they found out is because that crime actually was being investigated from the daughter's death. So they did some test, I can't remember what it is, but it looks for the levels of a certain something in your blood. And they found out that the daughter's level was at like something like 70% when it should be below 5%. But anyway, my point with that is that I had the exact same response as that mother did. Like, that I've never been like this in my life. Something's wrong. And she was freaking out, saying, give me a toxicology report. Like, I think I've been poisoned. And then it's exactly the same thing I was thinking when I first got COVID. I was like, something is not fucking right, to the point that I was calling CSI. But no crime happened, so they couldn't do it. Now, carrying on, just so happens at the time that I caught COVID, it was in early January, my stupid neighbor would run his car in the garage to warm it up before work. Now, whether he opened the garage door or not, I don't know. But I know for a fact he'd run his car in the garage before work, like every morning. And given the weirdness of the whole situation and how I felt, I was like, fuck, this might be carbon monoxide poisoning. It really might be. Like, it truly might be. Because, well, I guess I'm a smart guy. But my apartment at the time had built-in carbon monoxide detectors, so I was like, well, probably not. I mean, it's never gone off or anything. But eventually, I got so sus about it that I was like, I'm going to go out and buy a third-party one, which I did. And my neighbor continued to run his car in the freaking garage every day. And one morning, very, very early in the morning, like 5 a.m., when his stupid ass would wake up and start his car, the carbon monoxide detector did go off. So, of course, I jumped up and opened the windows and all that stuff. Sling the sliding glass door open. And, you know, it went off. Everything was good. I was fine. And it never went off again. But that just muddied the waters, because then I was like, well, it wasn't, like, you know, I had to sit there and question, like, I know something's wrong with me, severely wrong with me. I don't know what the fuck it is. And then I was thinking it was initially carbon monoxide, like, there's something wrong here. So to this day, I'm never going to know, because I never got a toxicology. But turns out I think it was just long COVID. But here's the thing. So what is carbon monoxide poisoning? A lack of oxygen. And it causes all sorts of crazy problems. All sorts of crazy problems. And I'm thinking, and here's my spitballed idea, is that, number one, my neighbor running his freaking car in the garage, because they were all attached units, was not helpful at all. And number two, I think, you know, COVID being a respiratory issue predominantly, after I caught it, it affected me and my oxygen intake a lot more than I thought. So I think I was probably running on low oxygen for quite some time, with the double whammy of my stupid neighbor. Because, like, just the way that lady, unfortunately her child died, was so convinced that she had been poisoned, and I was like, that is the exact same way I was acting. I was like completely and utterly convinced I had been poisoned. But for her, it was carbon monoxide. For me, it might have been too. But I think really I was just suffering from the symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning from COVID and lack of oxygen. And on top of that, my stupid ass neighbor. So I don't know. That was just something that hit me because I was thoroughly convinced I was being poisoned from my girlfriend at the time. Is what the only person I could figure, because she was the only person I was in contact with. So I was like, this bitch is poisoning me. I was sure of it, fucking sure of it. Just the way that lady was that lost her daughter. I was fucking sure of it. And I don't know, it's just an interesting kind of correlation, because I wouldn't have expected to watch a murder mystery video and see carbon monoxide poisoning being the culprit, but the way she acted, I was like, holy crap, that was me when I first caught COVID. That was 100% me. And again, maybe it was from low oxygen levels from actually having COVID. Very plausible. We'll never know. Or it could have been straight up carbon monoxide. Again, we'll never know, because no crime was committed. They couldn't test me. Damn, I wish I could have seen those results if they had. That would have been interesting. But yeah, it really makes me think back on those early days. I was so convinced. So fucking convinced. Maybe I just got hit with a double whammy. Have COVID and have your stupid neighbor run their car in the garage while you're sleeping. Yeah, it could have been both. But yeah, that's interesting. That was very, very interesting to me and eye-opening to me.